Hey there everyone, welcome to Violet's Dream Tarot. Welcome back if you are a long-time viewer, long-time subscriber. It's lovely to have you here. Welcome if you're new, if this is the first time you're watching. So today we are doing the November general predictions reading. So this is your general November reading. What is coming towards you in November? What sort of themes will you be dealing with? We're not focusing on any particular area of your life. So love messages might come through, spiritual messages, health messages, career messages, messages about money, relationships that aren't love oriented. So like family relationships, friends, colleagues, etc. We are open to whatever messages need to come through for you. And this is your opportunity to get your snapshot of November, to get that sneak peek that helps you see what is coming towards you, and therefore you are sort of pre-warned. If there's anything there you don't like, you can make different choices. The future's never set in stone. But these cards will show you what energies are surrounding you in November. If I sound a little bit weird, I apologize. I've been really unwell recently, and just kind of have a lingering cold. I had like a really bad cold basically, so I couldn't film much prior to this because I was just having to pause every minute or so just to have like a coughing fit or sneezing or something awful. So I've had to hold off on this one for a little while. But I want to say a big thank you to all of my clients for private readings, all of my patrons as well. Thank you so much to all of you on Patreon. We did a live session recently on Patreon for Samhain, and I personally really enjoyed it. It's the first live event that I've ever done, ever. And it went really well, so I'm really pleased about that. I'm planning to do more in the future for those of you who support me on Patreon. So if you missed out on that one, or if you're not on Patreon, that's something that interests you, do head over to Patreon and take a look and consider joining us. We do other things as well. It's not just these new live events, but we've been going on Patreon for over 4 years now, so there's a massive archive of posts and exclusive videos and other interesting things on there that you might enjoy. So without any further ado, let's take a look at the cards that we have today. So I've got 3 separate tarot decks, and I've put these cards from the Celtic Tree Oracle on top. And as usual on my channel, these cards have been shuffled. They haven't been chosen by me, so they may hold some meaning for your reading. So on pile 1, we have Grove, number 21, with Koad as the Celtic word for it. The tarot deck that we're using for group 1 is the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot. Because I felt like this was a good fit. I know some people, it's a big contentious thing, isn't it? Some people argue that it's a Halloween film. Some people argue that it's a Christmas film. My boyfriend argues that it's a November film because it combines both of them. So I think having this deck in a November reading is quite fitting. So we're going to have that for pile 1. Then on pile 2, we have Dua, Oak. So the oak tree on pile 2, number 7. And we're using the Disney Villains deck for pile 2. Okay. And then on pile 3, we have Hazel, Coll, Hazel, number 9. For November, the 9th month in the Roman calendar, and we're using the Enchanted, what was this one called? Everyday Witch Tarot, sorry. I know it's a lot of people's favourite deck. Everyday Witch Tarot, I don't know why I was saying Enchanted Witch. The Everyday Witch Tarot for group 3 with Hazel. Okay, and when it comes to choosing your pile, I say take a deep breath, pause the video if you need to, close your eyes if you need to, and then choose the pile that you are most drawn to. It might be that if you've closed your eyes, then it's the pile that your eye first settles on when you open your eyes, that you're just subconsciously drawn to. It might be one that you can't take your eyes off. It might be one that you feel really drawn to. And it doesn't, I would say, if there's something here that has a special meaning for you, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's your pile. Sometimes people think, well, I have to pick pile 1 because of this reason. Like, I really like that character, or that's my favorite tree, or whatever it might be, or I really want to see that deck. But perhaps your eye is really being drawn to a different pile, in which case that one is probably going to have the most accurate reading for you. So just choose with your intuition. If you're really struggling to pick, then that's fine. You might want to watch 2. It might be that each of those readings is like 50-50 your reading, so maybe half of each reading fits and the other half doesn't. Or it could be that one reading is like majority the reading that fits with you, and the other one just adds like some extra little pieces of wisdom that you can pick up on. It's really individual. This obviously isn't a private reading, it's a general reading on YouTube, so there will be some messages here perhaps today that don't feel like they're yours, and in which case that's fine. Let them go with love. They are for someone else who is watching here today. So, I hope you enjoyed this little intro. If you want to go back to the start to see the close-ups of the cards again, please do. And when you're ready, when you've chosen your pile, I will get started. Hey there, Group 1. Welcome to your reading for those of you who chose Grove, number 21. This is going to be your November reading. So groves are very sacred to druids, modern druids. They were very sacred to the ancient peoples of the British Isles, so like England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland. Very sacred in the sense that they often like to pray or hold rituals outdoors to the spirits of the place, to their ancestors, to the gods that they worshipped. So this card in particular, if I just take a look at the guidebook, interestingly enough, this one represents Samhain, the festival of Samhain. And for those of you who celebrated recently, I hope you had a lovely Samhain. I certainly did. And so for those of you who aren't aware, Samhain is the 31st of October. It's called Nos Calan Gaeaf in Welsh. Samhain is its Gaelic name, so sort of Irish and Scottish, although they spell it differently in Scotland. You might have seen it written somewhere as like Samhain. That's how it's written in Irish Gaelic, so like Samhain. In Scottish Gaelic, it's written Samhuinn, which is maybe a bit more intuitive for native English speakers in terms of how you pronounce it, because it has that win, that UINN at the end. So it's spelt like that, but it's pronounced Samhain. And it is the precursor to modern day Halloween. It's a very sacred day for modern pagans, for all denominations of that really. Most modern pagans will celebrate it, even if they don't necessarily have a Celtic tradition that they follow. And it is an ancestor festival, so it's a time of honouring ancestors. It was Celtic New Year's Eve, so the Celtic New Year began on the 1st of November in ancient times, and they believed that this was the time when the veil, the sort of curtain or boundary that separated our world of the living from the world of the dead and spirit, became super, super thin, like almost cobweb thin. And so you could contact spirits more easily. Our ancestors could be physically present with us more easily. And so it was a time of honouring those who had passed over. And so this is a very spiritual card in what is already, I would say, quite a spiritual deck, the Celtic Tree Oracle. So you might find that November is quite spiritual, quite reflective for you. It's a very meditative card. You might just, I would say you might find that in November you are feeling as though you want more time for quiet reflection. Maybe you've had quite a busy time leading up to this, and you now want to just rest a bit more and be around yourself. I think we've all had those times in our lives where we're not being unsociable, but we just don't really have the headspace for other people. You know, we don't have the bandwidth to listen to others. We want to just be alone, and being in loud, busy environments or being around other people just feels like it's taking something away from us, or just feels like it's disturbing us when we want to be quiet, gentle, peaceful, reflective. Maybe you are feeling especially sensitive in November to crowded places, loud places, pollution, bright lights and loud noises just all might really feel like overwhelming to you in November, or just really not what you're wanting to be around. So group 1, let's start by getting your tarot cards, and then we've got plenty of oracle cards for you. We've got charms, we've got dice, so settle in. I hope you've got some lovely hot chocolate or cup of tea or something, and that you're cozy under a blanket somewhere if you're in the northern hemisphere and it's cold. Okay, group 1. What is coming up in November? Oh, there we go. I do apologise as well if at any point I need to cough, sneeze, something, if I sniff, if it sounds terrible, I really do apologise. As I said in the intro, I'm fighting off quite a bad cold, and I'm definitely coming out the other side, but I'm still not 100% and I'm still coughing a lot. And so, yeah, I apologise if I need to do something like that. I've got some cough sweets that I might need to take. Okay, what have we got? Quite a few cards. So 10 of presents, that's the 10 of pentacles. Lovely way to start out your month. That suggests you're well provided for in November. Ace of candles or ace of wands, also a lovely card. Aces are always positive. You have 5 of potions, 5 of cups. I really like this song in the film. I think it's really rousing. Poor Old Jack, I think it's called. 2 of presents or 2 of pentacles. And then the 8 of presents or 8 of pentacles. So you've got quite a pentacles heavy month. I see, yeah, so I definitely see, in general, it feels like November is quite balanced. I'm sort of seeing that you have everything you need, but there's still a desire on your part to like do even better or go further in some way. So you have Ace of Wands, which is about inspiration, enthusiasm, ideas, that spark and zeal within you that gets you motivated to do something and pushes you on. You have 5 of Cups, which is this card of disappointment, of feeling as though you didn't do something very well, you could have done something better. And obviously this like part of the film, in case you haven't seen it, it's a very dramatic part of the film where he tries to do something very outlandish and he fails terribly, and he does eventually save the day, but this is the point where it feels like all is lost. So there's like an element there of, you know, I wanted to do it in this way, or I want to get things done, but perhaps things keep getting in my way, because then you have 2 of Pentacles, which is about balance. Could be work-life balance. It could be having to juggle many different responsibilities. And then this 8 of Pentacles is like a card of knuckling down, getting things done, hard work. So we've got Father Christmas's lovely elves at the North Pole here. Very well known for just getting things done, working hard, not letting anything distract them from what they need to do. Very conscientious and diligent. So if I'm to sort of give you, because I'm getting like an overall picture of your month here, group 1, and the image I'm sort of getting is it may start out quite peacefully. So we have this reflective, meditative, spiritual, quiet card with the Grove. And that's kind of how you want to keep it. And I'm sort of getting the sense that you are working towards a goal, or there's something that you really want to learn about. In November, it feels as though in the early days of the month, maybe the first week or early second week, something really piques your interest and you're like, yes, I want to spend time on this. This is so interesting to me. And then it's like things keep getting in the way, or you don't quite manage to pull something off in the way that you wanted to. Like maybe you wanted to do something on a particular date or particular weekend, for example, and it doesn't manage to go to plan because there's other stuff that needs your attention. I am sort of feeling as though it is material things, because you have so many pentacles and you do have the 2 of Pentacles, which is that juggling of material issues and responsibilities. So, You know, maybe you've had this idea in your mind that, okay, on Saturday, I'm busy on Sunday, so on Saturday, I'm going to do this one thing that I really want to do. And it's like the day is just taken up with chores and other responsibilities. And then this thing suddenly needs your attention. And then you're like, well, now I've got, 45 minutes to do this thing that I was really looking forward to. That's the kind of feeling that I'm getting. Let's get some oracle cards. They always give us much more nuanced messages. I let the healing energy of my heart heal my body from any discomforts. That's number 4. And that makes sense. Discomforts, because as much as this card is, like in this particular deck, referring to something that goes like terribly wrong, I'm not really picking up on that in the energy of your reading. It almost feels more like you're making something bigger than it needs to be. And so it's more of a discomfort. It's more of something irritating, unsettling, rather than something, you know, like life-changingly terrible or total failure or catastrophic. I'm just seeing it's like you're disappointed in yourself, or you just wish that you had more time for certain things, or you wish that you could give something more energy. Some of you, I mean, he's so sort of weary in this image. Like some of you might be returning home from your busy jobs at work, and maybe you have to stay late for things, or you're just more tired in this month because it's darker if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. And you're just like, I wanted to do this thing when I get home from work, and I just never seem to have time for it. I'm putting it off and putting it off because I either don't have time, or I have time but not the energy. A lot of you dealing with tiredness in November. So gold, you don't need someone else to fix you. Number 36, beautiful card. And I think this is an example of, I believe it's a Japanese art, with the teacup, where you fix cracks in a piece of pottery like this by filling it in with gold. So it ends up looking even more beautiful than it originally did. This sense of your sort of challenges, your failures, actually being what make you, what give you that beautiful golden essence of you. You learn from them, and without them, you wouldn't be the person that you are. And definitely, again, there's this reflective, quiet, thoughtful energy to this card, isn't there? What else do we have? Playing it safe. Number 6. Playing it safe. Again, she looks like she's reflecting on something. And increase. Number 3. So an increase in playing it safe. Maybe you don't feel comfortable stepping outside of your regular routine in November. You might be turning down social invitations, not because you don't want to see people necessarily, but you just don't feel like you have the energy for it. You want to focus on other things. You're trying to conserve your time and energy for the things that really matter to you right now. You're really loving being at home, I think, in November. Home feels safe and cozy. You don't want to step outside of that. I am Kali. Number 13. From death comes rebirth. Sense of transformation. Readiness to move from one cycle to another. Definitely fits with the fact that we've just had Samhain, and you got the card that is referring to Samhain as a holiday. Samhain, as I mentioned, is the beginning of the new year, the ending of the old year. As an ancestor festival, it also has themes of death. So the sense of shifting and transforming and changing. From death comes rebirth. So yeah, there may be something that you're, struggling with in November. Feel like the first attempt blew up in your face, or just really was disappointing for you, just didn't get out of it what you wanted to have. But don't let that be something that deters you. You might not feel like you have the mental or emotional energy to try again this month, but don't let it be a no forever. Bay leaves, abundance. And this is really lovely because this fits in with the 10 of Pentacles card that you have, which is about really having everything you need. Really being provided for. Especially in that very material sense. So like having enough money to get you through the month, having enough food to eat, having also people around you that care. It's also a family-oriented card. But family, of course, can also be our chosen family, which is our friends. So as much as it seems as though you are focusing on one particular thing in November that didn't go to plan, I still think that on an underlying level, you don't have anything to worry about in November because you will come out of it okay. So if you are perhaps worried about money, this card and the 10 of Pentacles are telling you that you will be provided for. You have enough. You will have enough to eat. You will have shelter. You will be warm. You'll have enough money to last you through the month. Interesting. Few cards from this deck. So Isa, number 17, stillness, pause, delicacy. This is a rune that has been personified as a sort of ice fairy in this card. Isa is the rune of ice, which is like this pause period. It signifies a pause, time to rest, time to stop, not to push. And that's what November feels like for you. We've got all of these messages about being reflective, quiet, solitude, gentleness, playing it safe, not leaving your comfort zone, loving being at home. And this isn't me saying don't try and have fun or don't go out places in November, but it's me saying that you will naturally feel drawn to your own company, to just a gentler way of life. I mentioned earlier on that you feel more sensitive to loud noise, busy places, pollution, even bright lights. Like you're walking a gentler path in November. You're taking things more slowly. You're giving yourself some grace, in all honesty. Then you have this kind of similar looking card, actually, Elven Touch, number 8, recovery, comeback, revival. And that's where we get I am Kali and the Ace of Wands, and this message about healing as well. So 10 of Pentacles, the 10 represents completion and fulfillment, and that, is lovely, but there's only so long we can stay in that state before we naturally as human beings want to push and try something new. So it also represents an ending in that sense, and then the Ace is the new beginning. So this is all nicely fitting in together, group 1. Then you have the merciful one, number 26, compassion, release, relief. And that is so fitting. Again, what have I just said about giving yourself some grace, being gentle with yourself? Relief, being compassionate. This might even come up as something like maybe you end up saying no to some kind of invitation that you get in November and you feel really bad about it. Like maybe you end up not going to a friend's party that was important to them, but you just really, really can't cope with it. And so you feel a sense of relief when you say to yourself that you're not going and you make that decision, but you also feel terrible. it could be something along those lines, because as I said, I'm not picking up on like catastrophic failure or something really negative and awful happening to you. But I'm picking up on something where you feel disappointed, where you feel as though you could have done better, or like you have let yourself down or let another person down. But it also feels like it's something that's like almost needed. Last quarter moon in Virgo, attend to the details. So this fits in with the Eight of Pentacles, doesn't it? This sense of just conscientiousness, getting your head down, not being distracted, focusing on what needs to be done. Lovely. Base card here is take a breather. Last quarter moon in Cancer. Definitely. So the message from the cards is absolutely try and be gentler, more peaceful, more quiet, more meditative and reflective in November. You may get some important spiritual insights, or you may be doing some spiritual learning at this time. You might be feeling called to research certain spiritual topics, or deepen your knowledge if you already have some knowledge of that topic, but you're perhaps being called to go deeper. There is so much in this that feels almost gestational, like you're like retreating inwards so that you can develop and grow from the inside. And when the time comes, you will be able to grow outwards, and that expression will kind of happen in this outward way. But for now, it's like you need to do that inner developing before you feel comfortable expressing that new knowledge or that new self, that new wisdom on the outside. So group one, let me get your charms and dice to finish up your reading. We'll start with your charms. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so you've got the letter A. Could be a word, could be a place, a name, an initial that comes to you with A. I'm also seeing it as like the beginning, like the alpha, that which starts the alphabet. It's a new beginning. It's a fresh start. Take whatever message comes to you when you think about the letter A. That will be very personal to each person. You have love, which is beautiful and is landing on this gorgeous card of I let the healing energy of my heart, which is represented on the love charm, heal my body from any discomforts. Beautiful, beautiful. Then you have the lovely stork charm. Rebirth, new beginnings, fresh starts. Like the stork brings the baby in sort of popular myth and folklore. This heralds a new beginning for you, like a rebirth, as we've mentioned a few times. What does this say? Recovery, comeback, revival. It's like you need this quiet, gentle period just to like almost like refill your tank before you're ready to come out into the world again and start creating afresh. It's like you can't give from an empty cup. You know, it's that saying, you need to be refilled before you can start giving again. And it's like, you just don't want to put your energy out into the world very much in November. You want it to be directed inwards. You have the gingerbread man, which is a symbol of something taking a while to complete. So if you think about making a biscuit, you've got to put all the ingredients together, mix it in a certain way, bake it. You've got to, cut the mold out and everything. Even when you've baked it, you can't eat it straight away. It's got to cool down. So when I see this, I just think of a sense of a long-term situation, or something that just takes a while to fully come to completion. You've just got to be patient with it. And it makes total sense that that's landing on the Isa card of stillness, pause, delicacy. Then you have the Ace of Swords, clarity, an end of confusion, communication, a breath of fresh air, that sudden feeling of like, oh, that's it. That's exactly it. That realization, that sudden understanding that almost comes out of nowhere. Be some kind of epiphany for you in November. That's the rebirth that Kali is offering, it seems. And then, interestingly, on Kali's card, you've also got the calling card of another deity, Hermes or Mercury. Now, he is a god who is connected to communication, so definitely see him as being connected to the Ace of Swords. Hermes he's a messenger god. He's very fast as well. He's got that swiftness. Things happening quickly, suddenly. Definitely a god of realization. He's also got this sort of mystical, alchemical aspect to him. He can reveal a lot of like spiritual secrets to you. He's a god of commerce. He is a god of travel and foreign lands, foreign languages. Well, language itself really, but definitely foreign languages too. All kinds of things. He's also a god of boundaries, actually, and liminal spaces, god of thresholds. Yeah, interesting. So he is showing up for you here. You might want to work with him. You might feel called to do so. Or Kali, of course, as well. And then your final charm is the binoculars. So looking deeply into a situation, analyzing something, gaining real insight into something in November, and that what you're gaining insight into might be yourself. It might be who you are, your identity. It might be your belief system. It might be a particular situation in your life that you've kind of needed to take a step back from in order to actually understand it better. Sometimes when we pull back, we end up getting the movement that we actually need in a situation that's become stagnant, or we've thought about it so much that the energy is just so, overwrought, being tossed and turned in our own head. So let's finish up with your dice now, group 1. So we're rolling the 7th set of dice for you. Those ones are the Harry Potter dice. I will just grab those. Okay, how many of these dice are we rolling for group 1, please? 5. Lovely. 5 out of 9 is not bad going. Interesting. Yep. Wow. Okay, so you've got the two people arguing, and that one is landing on Issa, so this card of stillness. Perhaps you are pulling back from some kind of like fraught situation with another person, some kind of dispute, some kind of argument or disagreement or falling out. Maybe this is just in general, like just a feeling that you just don't want to engage with people in November. Again, communication in general, like perhaps you are more sensitive generally in November to anything. So maybe just having a normal conversation with someone can feel confrontational. Like some of the things they say, you might take offense at that you normally wouldn't, It just feels like things are maybe targeted, or they feel just like they carry more weight than they normally would because you are more sensitive and you are more analytical in this month than you typically would be. So you're sort of taking things to heart more. You don't really welcome that input of energy from another person. You just want to be in your own space. And I think that is symbolized by the locked box here. Like you just want to protect your energy. You don't want to be, having other people in your space. This also makes me think a bit of treasure as well, like a treasure chest. So that fits in with the abundance messages. You have the crystal ball, so divination, gaining messages, spirituality, revelations from spirit or from the divine. In this month, you might be doing tarot readings or some other kind of divination form that you perhaps practice at home, or you might be getting a private reading from someone that you trust. You're just feeling that need to commune with something higher at this time. Then you've got beautiful forks, the phoenix. So there again is that symbol of death and rebirth, this symbol of revival, of new life, of a fresh start, healing, and sort of almost like shedding your skin. You know, you are reborn from the ashes of your former self. And I mean, that is what we see in this card here. Is he's literally been shot down from the sky. He's, you know, in tatters. There's things on fire. So this symbol of victorious rebirth from an ending. And then finally you have the chicken drumsticks. So this just makes me think of nourishment, nourishing yourself, paying attention to what you're eating, drinking. You know, you might be eating a lot of comfort food. You might be drawn to certain types of food in this month, especially if it's cold outside. You know, you might be only really wanting to eat hot food. Like cold food might not appeal to you at all at this time. This is just an invitation basically to nourish yourself and to be, again, gentle with yourself and to take care of yourself, almost like a nurse or a mother caring for a small child. Like, be that parent or that nurse for yourself in November. So I really hope this was helpful for you, Group 1. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for being here with me. It looks like you're having a really profound November, and I hope that you get a lot out of it. Take care, be gentle with yourselves. If you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. I would love to hear how it resonated with you. Head over to Patreon if you are interested in supporting me and getting access to exclusive patron-only content. And yeah, I will see you again soon. Have a lovely month ahead and a great rest of your day, Group 1. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi there, Group 2. Welcome to your reading for those of you who chose Oak, number 7. This one is for you. So this is the oak tree, and this is actually a zodiac sign in the Celtic zodiac. So some of you might have chosen this without realizing it's your zodiac sign. So let me read out which zodiac it is. So if you were born in the northern hemisphere, then it is the zodiac sign for 18th of April to the 15th of May. So if you're born during that time, then this is your zodiac sign. If you were born in the southern hemisphere, then it is the zodiac sign for the 18th of October to the 15th of November. So the period that we're currently in when I'm filming this, actually. And so the oak is symbolic of Beltane, which is the 1st of May, May Day. It is a Celtic fire festival, which represents sort of beginning of summer. And its reverse is Samhain, which is October 31st or the 1st of November, which we've just had in the Northern Hemisphere. So in the Southern Hemisphere, you celebrate Beltane, when in the Northern Hemisphere, they're celebrating Samhain, and vice versa. So one welcomes in the start of summer, one welcomes in the start of winter. So interpret this card based on where you are from and where you're living. But this oak also refers to fertility and sexuality, strength and stability, grounding and endurance, ancient knowledge, doors and thresholds, and boundaries. Okay, so the oak is actually one of my favorite trees. It's not my absolute favorite because that's the rowan, which is a very special tree to me, but the oak is beautiful, very strong, very noble, dignified tree, very important in British culture. It's believed that the word druid comes from the word for oak, as you can see it's dur. Yeah, oaks are considered like a royal tree, especially in England. And they're very, very thick, sturdy trees. They have this sense of longevity and wisdom and like being in it for the long run to them. They really feel like a tree that you can count on. So in November, I would say that's a very good sign of health in November. Like very robust health in November for you. I would say you have perhaps a lot of stamina in November. This could be a time when you are also, it referred to ancient knowledge, where you're sort of gaining a lot of wisdom, perhaps from reading that you've been doing and learning about things and absorbing it. Because wisdom isn't knowledge, right? Knowledge is like just knowing something, but wisdom is much deeper, and it comes from absorbing and integrating knowledge into practice and learning from experience and the experience of others. It's interesting because Group 1's reading, Group 1's November is going to be very profound. I'm wondering if you're going to have a similar, although slightly different experience, but like a similarly profound November at least. So Group 1, let's start with your tarot cards. We're using the Villains Tarot deck it's a Disney licensed deck. So Disney villains. And then we've got lots of oracle cards for you. We've got charms, we've got dice, plenty of things to illustrate your reading. And while I was talking about you potentially having robust health in November, Group 2, I myself am currently battling off the end of a bad cold. So if at any point I need to cough or sneeze or something else terrible, sniffling or something awful, I do apologize. Unfortunately, it has stopped me from filming for a while because I've been quite bad. But I wanted to get this video out, so apologies if I need to do anything like that. I've got some cough sweets that I might have to take one off in a little while. So Group 2, you have the Two of Wands. Two of Wands opening up your reading. It's a nice card. 10 of Coins or 10 of Pentacles. Group 1 had this card as well, so that's lovely to see. Really like that card personally. 3 of Cups. Page of Coins or Page of Pentacles. And King of Cups. Okay, so you have Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. And for those of you who learned that oak is your zodiac sign, if you're born in the Northern Hemisphere, you're probably a Taurus. And if you're born in the Southern Hemisphere, probably a Scorpio, I think. So both of those are being shown here. So what am I seeing in general for November? So I'm seeing, let me first address the 10 of Pentacles because I really love this card. So this is a card of like having everything you need. On a material level, your needs are provided for in November. So I think this is quite an important message. If any of you have been worried about money, if you've been worried that your finances won't stretch to the end of the month, this is a card telling you they will. You will have enough to eat. You will be able to pay for your rent, your mortgage, whatever kind of shelter that you have, you will have it. You'll be warm. You will have enough money to last you to the end of the month. It is that card of being provided for in that sense. It's also a card of family, whether they are your blood relatives or your chosen family, aka your friends. Sort of appreciating those people in November, appreciating what they can offer, appreciating their presence around you. And I think that feeds quite well into the 3 of Cups and a little bit the 2 of Wands. 3 of Cups is about socializing, celebrating, having fun, giving yourself permission to rest, to breathe, to laugh, letting your hair down a little bit even. It's a sociable, fun card. It often carries an undertone of celebration. So there might be something coming up that you'll be able to celebrate in November. Perhaps if this was your zodiac sign, you were born in the Southern Hemisphere, this could be your birthday coming up, or maybe there is an important anniversary. Maybe there is a celebration of some other kind that you have in November, like a cultural holiday or Maybe there's going to be some nice announcement in your friendship circle or family, like someone's getting married, someone's having a baby, someone passed their driving test, someone has bought their first home, something like that really brings people together and gives you an excuse to celebrate, gives you a good reason to have fun. So that's nice. I love the Two of Wands as well, because that's kind of saying the world is your oyster in November. I am wondering if some of you are going on holiday in November, because you have this Two of Wands, which is about like looking out into the world and seeing all of the options out there for you. And then you have this like giving yourself permission to have fun and relax card. So some of you may be having some time off work to travel or to go on holiday or just to relax in November. Let's get some oracle cards for you. The divine is always supporting and guiding me. Number 48. That's a lovely card. Love the little snowy owl there. So you feel the presence of the divine very strongly in November. You feel your guides there with you. You perhaps feel any deities that you work with, gods and goddesses. You may feel angels, ancestors, elementals, whoever it is that you enjoy working with. You feel their support, you feel their guidance, their presence. You feel protected and you feel accompanied in November. So you feel as though whatever you do, you're not standing alone. There are other people there with you. There are other guides there to hold your hand and to stand with you. Maybe a lot of the things that you do in November are kind of informed by spirit or your belief system. Red, forgive, number 10. Forgiving yourself, forgiving others. For past actions, past mistakes. Moving on. Behind a mask, number 3. Interesting. Maybe there are some things that you have withheld from others. Maybe you have felt that other people haven't been very honest with you. Maybe that's to do with the forgiveness. For some of you, I think it's more that in November, there are some things that you're holding back, that you're keeping quiet on, you're keeping them secret. It could be something spirituality related that you're just not comfortable like sharing with others. Maybe you're keeping plans to yourself because you don't want people to influence them. I am Kali from Death Comes Rebirth, number 13. Now, Group 1 had this card, so a lot of people are experiencing this energy. And as I explained in Group 1, we've just had Samhain in the Northern Hemisphere, which is the 31st of October and the 1st of November. It is a time of change and transformation. It's a festival that is naturally connected to death because it's an ancestor festival, so we honor those that have passed on. And it was also Celtic New Year as well, so there's that sense of transition and ending and change and, endings and rebirth or new beginnings. So you might just be feeling that in November, even if it's not something that you celebrate or believe in. You might still be just feeling that sense of the energy of change in the collective. Moving on. And I think in order to do that, there is this need to forgive, isn't there? There's this need to not carry the pain of the past with you. Nettle, caution. Yeah, for me, this fits in with behind a mask. Like there's something that you're just not comfortable opening up about in November. And so you've got 2 cards here that represent people, Page of Pentacles and the King of Cups. And I was waiting to see sort of how they showed up in your reading, because I could give you a generic sort of tarot meaning behind them, but when there's people represented, I often want to see how they come out through other aspects of your reading before I start giving you an interpretation. Page of Pentacles here, I think, just refers to learning and sort of gradual progress. It's not necessarily referring to a person. It's this sense of wanting to learn, wanting to expand knowledge, wanting to sort of grow and progress in a certain way. The King of Cups, I feel, is representing a person. Often this would be a romantic interest, or it would be a close friend, someone that we have a strong emotional connection with. And so perhaps it's this person that, despite your close relationship, you just don't feel comfortable opening up about certain things with them in November. You just don't feel like you can be your full self with them. It's behind a mask. There's something that you're holding back on, something that you're not revealing, or perhaps it's like you're having conversations and you just feel as though sometimes you're speaking cross purposes, like you're both speaking but you're not fully hearing each other. You seem to be speaking like a little bit of a different language. Maybe you're doing something in November with another person who is close to you, and that thing that you're doing has a deeper meaning for you on a spiritual level. But because that other person is not spiritual or has different beliefs, it's not something that you open up about to them. So perhaps you feel like you're both there physically having this experience or sharing this activity, but you're having very different experiences. Like there's a whole dimension of this experience that you're having that they are not sharing because they are just not aware of it, because you're not opening up to them. So it might just be this really weird feeling of like, sort of different dimensions of experience in November, and things that happen sacredly, like within your own mind and body and soul and experience, and that not necessarily being shared by others outside of you, and the weird feelings and thoughts that can engender. So you have a few cards from this deck, group 2. You have the Green Man, Initiative, Fertilization, Action, number 34. So that's a lovely symbol of growth. Now, there was sexuality and fertility in your Oak card, wasn't there? So maybe some of you might be trying to conceive, or they might be conversations that you're having around that theme soon, coming up in November. Maybe that's something where you feel as though this person, if they're your partner, perhaps doesn't fully understand the significance to you. Maybe you're feeling very, very emotional about it, and they're just kind of matter of fact, like, yeah, this is what we're doing. But for you, it's like very, very significant. And so that could be what is going on here with like these two dimensions of experience. This also just makes me think of growth more generally, and definitely I think would be a sign of good health. So there we go, group 2, good health in November. Arwen, number 41, gift, divine inspiration, awakening. So having a divine gift in November, being able to sense and communicate with spirit much more clearly than you normally would, having like epiphanies, discoveries, channeled messages, noticing signs and symbols in nature that you perhaps wouldn't normally be aware of. And that feeds into our next card, the Sigil Keeper, number 38. So symbols, signs, messages. There's lots of messages being delivered to you from higher realms, from spiritual realms in November, and you are aware of them. But again, perhaps you're taking a walk and you notice things that are very significant like that to you, and that are clearly messages from spirit, but the person you're walking with just is completely oblivious, and maybe that just makes you feel a little bit strange, or like you've got this, sort of secret that you're walking around with, even though they're physically there with you. They're not seeing this whole world that you have access to. And depending on how you're feeling, that might make you feel, like it's a little bit funny. You might have this like sly little smile, or, that might make you feel a bit uncomfortable or a bit weird. Very much depends on how you're feeling and your individual circumstances. There's no right or wrong way to feel about that. What is this? 2 cards from this deck. New Moon in Leo, Shine. Gorgeous card. Very vibrant. Look at that. Shine. New Moon in Gemini. Think it through. So 2 new moons, and we did start out the 1st of November with a new moon in Scorpio, actually, for those of you watching who are Scorpios. So there is a, new beginning inherent within that to have the new moon on the 1st of the month. But definitely for you, especially Group 2, it feels like a fresh start, one that is very guided by spirit, but with some things that you're still a little bit unsure about, still sort of learning how to navigate. Definitely it feels quite a gentle month in many ways. You're letting yourself have fun. You're letting yourself, spend time with people, friends, loved ones, family members, etc. But perhaps there are things that you would enjoy talking about that you just can't raise with them because they don't understand, There is definitely that sort of barrier to understanding or communication or seeing things like a different worldviews in November, that it might be a little bit hard to grasp. But there's limitless potential for you in November. Like, you started with the 2 of Wands, which is the world is your oyster. So love to see that. So let's do your charms and dice now, Group 2. We'll start with your charms. Okay, what do we have? Seeing things clearly, the sunglasses. So clarity, fast progress with the car. Clarity, fast progress, seeing things for what they are, seeing the truth behind a situation. Car also makes me think of travel. So definitely some of you are going on holiday, perhaps traveling domestically. Maybe you're not going abroad, but you are getting a change of scenery at least in November, many of you. Energy vampire. Okay, the vampire teeth. Something or someone is draining your energy in November. Maybe it's the strain or the energy that it takes to keep up this secret or this sense of like trying to fit in when people have a different worldview from you. It's often something that spiritual people struggle with. Especially if you have any kind of pagan religion or religious belief or anything that's sort of new age. Like, a lot of people aren't used to that. They don't know what it is. They might be scornful. They might be fearful. There's a lot of misinformation about pagan religions, about Wicca, about Druidry, about modern paganism, New Age beliefs. There's a lot of fear out there. So you might be, just feeling increasingly that there is a gulf between you and the people that you love who don't share your worldview, and who, if they knew about your worldview, might even be, react negatively. That might be something that you're struggling with. Or maybe it is, another situation, as I mentioned, like trying to conceive or making other big life decisions and feeling as though someone close to you doesn't quite get the significance to you, or doesn't quite see it in the same terms as you. Even if they're on the same page, like they want you to do this thing, or they agree with you, like, let's do this, they still maybe aren't seeing it in quite the same way as you. And that might make you feel a little bit weird. So just hold this in mind, Group 2. It might not make sense right now, but there is some situation in November where you end up feeling a bit strange, a bit unsettled, because it feels as though there's like a glass wall between you and someone close to you. Like they have in prisons, where you can see them perfectly, but you can't quite connect with them on that normal level. So it feels as though, there's like a miscommunication, speaking cross purposes, or just having different worldviews issue in November that makes you feel a bit strange. What else have we got? There is a flower, so growth. Interestingly, it's landing on the green man, so fertility. Flower makes me think kind of similar to this shine card of like, and there is obviously beautiful sunflowers on this card, like a sense of blossoming, like opening up, becoming more of yourself. You have the happy smiley face, so happiness. The chivalry charm, the fleur-de-lis, so like sticking to your word in November. Your word is your bond, your word is your honor. It's like you've promised someone you'll do something, so you're going to do it. Or maybe you've told yourself that you're not going to do something, and so you have to hold yourself to that. Maybe this is also connected to the forgiveness. Maybe you've broken your word and you need to forgive yourself, or you're hoping someone will forgive you. Maybe someone has broken a promise to you and you're wondering if you can forgive that. Maybe the promise is tied into the secrecy. You've promised yourself you're not going to share this very private secret about yourself with another, but you feel like you get so close to blurting it out in November that it just feels weird. You know, when you're on edge because you just so want to scream something at someone and tell them, and you're really struggling with that. Worry thread, so there is some worry, but chilies, passion, excitement, sexuality, the kiss charm as well. Like there is romance for a lot of you in this month. Absolutely. Romance and intimacy. You have the dragonfly here. Fire elementals are with you. Dragons and salamanders, fire beings. It's also a good luck symbol, so that's really nice. The letter D. Now that's interesting because you have oak, which is dur in this old Celtic here, and this symbol above it is the letter D in the first sort of alphabet that was used to write. I don't know if it was all Celtic languages or if it was just Gaelic. But that is the letter D, so it's interesting that you have that connection. D, what could D stand for? D could be a person, it could be a word, it could be a place. Take whatever comes to you with that, because it will be very, very different, very personal for each person watching. You've got the spiral, so definitely, yeah, this is the worldview, the shift in the paradigm, you viewing things differently. Definitely it feels like the spirit world is just like cobweb thin boundary between that and your world right now. You're seeing symbols and signs from spirit just floating into your world just so naturally, just like being blown in almost from their world. I love how this landed kind of like on her third eye chakra as well, like she's getting those divine or spiritual downloads and messages, and she's also like seeing through that worldview, because that fits with this. You're seeing clearly, you're not just seeing the physical world, you're seeing everything that's there. You're seeing spirit as well. And again, if you're with someone who doesn't see that, it can be a little bit weird. Feels like, you know, you're having two different experiences. Then you have this beautiful maple leaf. So the maple leaf is obviously a symbol of Canada. Some of you might be traveling to Canada. Maybe that is where you're going on holiday. But the maple leaf is also a symbol of stamina and endurance, fortitude, just like I mentioned with the oak, the sense of like perseverance and stamina and seeing something through. I also associate that with the maple as well. Then you have the Black Knight. So this again is like someone with ulterior motives. Again, it's like you're hiding your true self, or perhaps you get the sense that someone is not being fully open with you. The crocodile, a manipulative person, someone who does something just for their own needs, their own enrichment. Interesting how they're both landing on think it through. And then you also have the seahorse, which is an equitable partner. A partner, whether it's in a romantic relationship, or whether it's a work partner or a really close friend, a partner who like does more than their fair share, someone who really pulls their weight. So you are with someone, whether romantically or perhaps going on holiday with a friend or working on a project with a colleague, who is really like doing you a favor, or they are like, you can count on them. They are going to do everything they need to do and probably a little bit more. So at least their 50% share, which is lovely. Possibly getting cut some slack a little bit in November, which is always nice to see. So let's finish up with your dice. Which set of dice are we rolling for group 2? The 10th set. A 10th set of dice. Which one are those? Those are the Scooby-Doo dice. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I really like this set. Okay, and how many... Oh, pick that up again. Flew out of my hand. How many of these dice are we rolling for group 2, please? 6. Okay, so 6 out of 9. That's good going. Right, group 2. Lovely, lovely. Interesting. Yeah, okay, so you have the torch. This makes me think of like enlightenment, illumination, lighting the way, knowing what you need to do. Being a torch bearer is kind of like being a pathfinder. Like you are showing the way. You're the trailblazer. You're showing the way to everyone else. You're making your own path. Definitely it's got that connotation of seeing clearly and like perception and realization, I think. It's making me think of the Kanor's rune, which is a torch and which also carries these sort of messages of enlightenment and seeing things clearly and inspiration. You have Shaggy or Scooby hiding in this vase. Very typical behavior from them. So hiding, there it is again. Hiding behind a mask. Caution, it's like you're not wanting to reveal your true self. You're holding back a little bit, even with someone who is very, very close to you, whoever this King of Cups character is. It's like you want to show them who you really are. You want to tell them in depth all about your hopes and dreams, your plans for the future, all about your perhaps religious or spiritual beliefs or your worldview. Maybe you want to tell them all about your worries, your fears, your past, perhaps. Maybe you're feeling really down about something from the past that's to do with this forgiveness message. You want to share your past mistakes with that person who's so close to you, but you're so worried that they're going to judge you or they're going to take it badly. They're going to react negatively. It's like there is something that you do want to share it. It's literally, I'm getting that feeling where you just want to scream it at someone. You sit right next to someone and you're thinking, how can you not hear what I'm screaming in my head? Because I'm thinking this thought so loudly, how can you not hear it? And you really just want to tell them. You want to shout it from the rooftops. You want them to know, and yet you can't. Something is holding you back. So yeah, group 2, there is an element of like, the phrase I'm hearing now, I'm looking at this, is hiding in plain sight. So maybe, if this is a religious thing or a spiritual thing, maybe someone like this person must know, if they're close to you, they must know that you are like interested in perhaps tarot or meditation or mythology, for example. You're interested in some of those like spiritual adjacent things. But perhaps they just don't know the full extent of it, or, trying to think of another example, like maybe you've always had a real aversion to a certain thing and it's because of something that happened in your past. And so they know and accept that you really can't be around this thing, but they just don't know the context behind it. It's something along those lines, I think, where they know some, but they don't know all of it. And you're worried that revealing all of it will cause problems or will, lead to an uncomfortable conversation. And so you really want to share it in November, but you also really don't. What else do I see for you? These seem to be interacting, which is why I love using multimedia in readings because I love it when things interact. So you've got whatever this thing is called. I always want to call it a pulley, but it's obviously that's not what it is. It's like a railway hand car, like a manually operated cart on a railway. And then you've got the tracks leading into this mine, this dark tunnel. So it's like pushing and pushing and pushing and working hard, because this must be a real workout to operate one of these, like the exercise that's involved, you know, in pushing one of these up and down relentlessly. So it's like, yeah, putting in a lot of energy, making something a big deal, feeling drained by this thing, you know, that's possibly the vampire teeth, but it's kind of leading you into the unknown. When I see this, I think of fear, you know, the darkness, the not knowing what you're going into. It could be dangerous in there. It's, you know, a disused mine perhaps, or maybe it's just a short tunnel. We don't know. And I think that's what it is. It's the fear of the unknown for you, group 2. You don't know how this person's going to react. You might have an idea, but you don't know for sure. And that's what's holding you back. And then you have your final 2 dice. You have Fred and you have Daphne. So 2 main characters from Mystery Inc., Mystery Incorporated, who solve the mysteries in Scooby-Doo. Fred and Daphne are a couple. So I think for many of you, you are romantically involved with someone, or there is someone that you're interested in who you're trying to open up to more, but you're worried about how they might take it. This is actually really making me think of, because I recently watched what's it called? Is it Scooby-Doo Monsters Unleashed? It's one of the early 2000s live action Scooby-Doo films, because they made some in like 2009, 2010 as well, which I think weren't as popular, although I didn't mind them at the time. I quite liked them. But these ones were more popular, I think, with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr., who then ended up marrying in real life. But the storyline is basically that they've all gotten so used to each other. They've all of the gang have basically started to just see each other as performing certain roles. You know, Daphne is always the damsel in distress that lures the monster and then, you know, has to be rescued. Fred is the one who like swoops in and takes all the credit, but actually does very little, you know. And so they all disband. They all walk away from each other. They all quit the group, and then they come back several years later when they're brought back together against their will, and they've all, you know, branched out into things. Fred, I think, is doing like life coaching or some kind of like inspirational, motivational lecturing. Daphne has learned martial arts, and is like really brilliant at like defending herself now. And it's kind of like this, like you see each other, you're close to each other, you spend time with each other every day, but you don't know the full depth of each other's potential, or you don't know the depth behind that person, you know. Can you ever truly know someone? They are, you know, perhaps someone different in their head than they are in day-to-day interactions for whatever reason. That's kind of what I'm seeing. So Daphne, I think of Daphne as someone who's like stylish, fashion conscious. What else would I think of Daphne? Often quite popular as well. She's often representing like the popular girl. But I also think of her in this sense of like self-defense now as well. And then Fred, again, popular, maybe a little bit vacuous, a good leader, but perhaps could be a better listener, is what I see with Fred. So that might or might not relate to your situation. But either way, I think there's definitely an issue that you're having in November where you want to reveal more of who you are, and you're worried that your Fred or your Daphne won't understand. So I hope that this is helpful for you, group 2. I hope that you understand what's going on. If you don't, you will later on in the month. Have a lovely rest of your day and a wonderful November. Take care. Please do like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed this video. It really means a lot to me. Leave me a comment. Let me know how it resonated with you. Head over to Patreon if you're interested in supporting the work that I do. And I will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi there, Group 3. Welcome to your reading. If you chose Hazel, number 9, then this is the reading for you. And we've got the Everyday Witch Tarot as well. So Hazel is actually one of the plants that is in the Celtic zodiac. So we've used the Celtic tree oracle for the pile marker cards, and I'm going to read the sort of general meaning of this card, and we'll also look at the zodiac as well. So the general meaning is water, the moon, bounty and abundance, intuition, wisdom, insight, knowledge, sage advice, divination, poetry, creative pursuits, higher perspective, and clarity. So it seems to be one about tapping into sort of wisdom and insights and creative ability. I guess tapping into that flow state. I like that it has bounty and abundance as well. Clarity, higher perspective. Yeah, sort of taking yourself out of your everyday thought process and into one that is heightened, whether that is for a divinatory or sort of gaining insight perspective, or whether it is a creative angle, tapping into your intuition, etc. And I said that this was part of the Celtic zodiac. So if you were born in the North Hemisphere, then Hazel is your zodiac sign if you are born between the 13th of June and the 10th of July. So 13th of June to 10th of July in the Northern Hemisphere. If you were born in the Southern Hemisphere, then Hazel is your sign if you were born between the 13th of December and the 10th of January. Okay, and this plant is related to the summer solstice. So Litha, the 20th or 21st of June. And if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, then it's related to the winter solstice, Yule, the 21st or the 22nd of December. So, let's get your tarot cards. Maybe some of you chose this card today not knowing that Hazel was your Celtic zodiac sign, in which case this might be an extra special reading for you. Okay, Group 3, November. I also do apologise if at any point I start coughing or I sneeze or sniffle or something. I am, as I said in the intro, recovering from quite a bad cold. So I haven't been able to film really at all prior to this because I've just would like film for a minute or two and then just need to start coughing. Also, if you hear any bangs or popping or crackling sounds in the background, that is fireworks. I'm filming this at the very start of November. And in the UK, the 5th of November, I don't know if it's all over the UK or if it's just England and Wales, but we have Bonfire Night, which is a bonfire and firework festival on the 5th of November. But some people also extend it from like Halloween to the 5th of November. So sometimes you hear fireworks in that interim period. So don't be alarmed if you hear anything in the background like that. Okay, so Group 3, November. What is coming up in November for my lovely Group 3s, my lovely Hazels? Okay, what do we have here? So you have Queen of Wands, lovely Queen of Wands, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, Nine of Cups, again beautiful card, always lovely to see that one, the Hermit. So that's like 2 9s. And I believe, yeah, your Hazel card was number 9 as well. 9 symbolizes completion. And then you have the High Priestess. 9 is also the 9th sign in the traditional zodiac, which is Virgo. And the Hermit represents Virgo. 9 is also the 9th house, which is the house of long distance travel and higher education and spirituality as well. So again, there's that element of like going beyond your everyday perspective, isn't there? We've spoken about education, divination, far off travel, which broadens the mind, spirituality, creativity. And look, so many of these people are like sitting and they're very meditative. They're like in the exact same position. Meditative, eyes closed, high priestess as well, preparing to go into a different state of mind. So there is something in your November about changing the way you think, getting a higher perspective on something. We've got plenty of oracle cards for you as well. We've got charms and dice too. So I'm going to start getting your oracle cards. Group 3. I know when my body needs to rest. Number 8. That's such a cute card. I know when my body needs to rest. So knowing when to, kind of like they are, like just breathing in and being in the moment. Yeah, base card, I feel safe and grounded. So you'll have opportunities in November to just really be present in the moment. I love that you have the Queen of Wands because that symbolizes confidence, creativity again, manifestation. And the 9 of Cups indicates that a wish is fulfilled in November for you, or that you are just very happy and content. The 9 of Cups is a sense of contentment that comes from within. So you find peace with your situation. It's not a happiness that is dependent upon something external, like how your day at work has been or what mood someone else is in, you know? It's very stable, it's very peaceful contentment. And then you have these more spiritual cards of the Hermit and the High Priestess. A lot of people seem to be having a spiritual month in November. Seems to be a collective energy. Mirror, treat your body like the palace it is. Number 4. That is the second card now that has mentioned your body. So taking care of yourself. Maybe you have been pushing yourself a lot in October. Maybe you've been working hard. Maybe you've been exercising a lot even, training for something. November gives you the opportunity to be gentler, to take more rest periods, to look after yourself, to prioritize, for example, your sleep, your downtime, taking a bath to soothe your muscles if you are training for something or you are exercising regularly. Loss, number 2. Loss. Let me get another card. So I don't see that anywhere else in your reading. Fragmented energy, number 6. And intuition and manifestation, number 3. Well, that's like the Queen of Wands again. Loss. I mean, it's coming right next to this card. So maybe you've been trying to like lose weight. And maybe that's something that you need to go a bit more gentle with yourself on. Because I'm kind of getting the message of like, don't keep pushing your body like this. Don't keep pushing so hard. Let yourself relax a bit. Let yourself kind of take the foot off the pedal. You know, it's like, just breathe. Just like with these images, I'm just getting breathe. Take a moment to breathe. You don't want to be feeling fragmented. You don't want to be feeling as though you don't have a handle on how things are going. This is like a very ungrounded energy, and that was very much in opposition to what we saw earlier in your reading. You want to be cultivating a sense of grounding and safety. So please focus on that in November. It's lovely that you're going to be manifesting things. Your intention is definitely clear. Voodoo in blue, back off, number 22. This has been a consistent theme. mostly in one of the groups, but it's kind of been an undercurrent of a lot of the groups that I've done today. So people just not wanting to socialize as much. You're going to feel a bit, like you just want to spend time, like the Hermit here and the Nine of Cups, very contented, very peaceful. The High Priestess equally doesn't feel the need to seek out others. She is very content in her spirituality alone. So you might be declining invitations in November. You might be, not as invested in workplace chatter or meeting up with friends and stuff in November. You just value your own space. This also is giving me the feeling of a bit like defensiveness. So maybe someone makes a comment to you that you don't appreciate in November. Maybe someone's opinion is given in a way that is like unsolicited and really unnecessary. And that makes you feel a bit weird. Cumin, faithfulness. Yeah, this I think is to do with the intention that you're setting. Because I really feel as though you're so clear on what you're trying to achieve. You have this very clear vision in November, but I'm almost getting that it's fine for you to not go in quite as hard as you currently are or as you will be. You can afford to relax a little bit and not be so hyper focused on this one thing. Witch Hazel sensitivity. So I think that's bringing us back to this. Maybe you take a comment the wrong way. Maybe people are just getting on your nerves more than usual in November. Maybe you just feel extra sensitive to things that you say, things that people say to you, things that you are consuming in the media. Like you might really not want to watch anything that's too dark or negative or emotional at this time. You kind of want to keep it lighthearted, maybe gentle. Yeah, definitely like a theme for pretty much everyone in November has been gentleness, being gentle with yourself or going a bit easy on yourself. Seems to be a collective message. King of the Darkwood Elves, number 39, authority, credibility, status. Taking charge of a situation, being authoritative. And yeah, base card, oath, promise, pledge, contract. Also number 22, like this one was. Like I said, you've been very determined to do something in November, very focused on one particular thing, whether it is like an exercise or a weight loss goal, whether it is manifesting a particular outcome, whether it's your work, your study, looking for a relationship. It feels like you're so hyper focused on it. And actually, you can still get the outcome you want, but also feel much better along the way if you just breathe a little bit. Give yourself some downtime. Don't put so much pressure on yourself throughout November. That's a message that someone needs to hear. Okay, what do we have here? Assess the situation, first quarter moon in Virgo, so that's Virgo again. Then new moon in Aries, go for it. And full moon in Leo, go wild. So there's the fire signs plus Virgo seem to be quite important. Lovely. Okay, well, let's get your charms and dice on now, group 3. We'll start with your charms. Okay, plenty of charms. Okay. You've got a couple of letters over here. You've got N and you've got X. NX. The X always makes me think of like an ex, a previous partner, or ex-friend, for example. It also makes me think of deleting something, like often you have to click the X button on something to get rid of something online. So that might make sense for some of you, but N and X are showing up. You might get words, names, places, initials, other sort of imagery might come through for you with those. It will be very, very personal. It always is with the letters. So just take whatever comes to you. You have the binoculars, which indicates insight. Perhaps overanalyzing a situation that sometimes comes through with these ones. And given that we've had the messages about you really looking closely into something, I think that could be a fair understanding of that. But definitely insight. Looking closely at something, seeing something in detail. And I mean, you had assessed the situation, and Virgo is very detail oriented, so that would make sense. Then you've got a toxic person or situation. Maybe that's what you want to back away from. Maybe someone is just being, maybe it's not you just being sensitive. Maybe it is that there is someone that is just not great. But I do get like an extra sensitivity in this month. So do just be aware of that, because I think that is going to come through not just in interactions with other people, but also, as I mentioned, through things like the media you consume, or I said this to group 1, I think, but like loud noises, crowded places, busy atmosphere. Anything of that nature is just going to feel like too much for you, I think, in November, or is going to feel more overwhelming than it typically would. You might be someone that loves busy places and hustle and bustle and loudness, but perhaps in November it just feels a bit much. What else have we got? The unicorn, purity, innocence, and also uniqueness, specialness, what makes you you. This is also a geography marker for Scotland. The unicorn's their national animal, so maybe you're planning a trip to Scotland or looking to work for a Scottish company or something called like, I don't know, Highland something or Thistle something, and it just makes you think of Scotland. Maybe you're dealing with someone who is Scottish or has a Scottish name or surname. You've got the saxophone, music and art, refined tastes, sort of being drawn into things that are aesthetic in November, drawn into your music, maybe even discovering new types of music or art. You've got the beautiful treasure map charm, which means that you will find what you seek. I always love it when this charm comes up, because it means that, you might not be aware of what you're seeking exactly, but you're going to find it in November. So you'll find what you seek, you'll find what you're looking for. And the snail, slow down. It's okay to slow down, to take things more slowly, to be more gentle. There's no rush, there's no hurry. You might feel as though there is, as I said, you seem to be very determined in November, so you really might be feeling like there's this like pressing deadline. But I feel like you can afford to take things at a gentler pace, is what I would say. Quite a few timing markers as well, weirdly. So you've got the broken Father Christmas charm, which represented wintertime. You've also got this pumpkin representing autumn. And you've got the Easter bunny representing springtime. So, I mean, all of that we're either in or it's coming up to. So it does make sense that you might be making plans that involve these time periods already. You might be thinking about what you want to do over the holiday period. You might be making plans for the coming spring, for example. Maybe you're going to Scotland, etc. Whenever these timing markers come up, it just means that you're either dealing with something that happened or started in that time, or you are making plans that involve that time coming up. Easter bunny can also be symbolic of surprises as well. Surprises showing up. in your life. You've got a beautiful angel wing. Angels are protecting you. You are under their lovely, soft, gentle wings. You have the gun. Now, this is symbolic of painful or negative emotions to me. Something that we're carrying around that we need to let go of. Like, drop the gun. Stop carrying around that pain or that anger or that sadness. Let it go. So there is, something that is adding to your energy in a negative way in November, because you are carrying it around, maybe without even realizing, and you would feel better from just setting it aside and letting it go. Always easier said than done, but worth thinking about potentially, as it could be, something useful. Then what else? You've got the olive branch. Okay, so reaching out to someone, or maybe someone reaches out to you, someone that you've maybe had some difficult conversation with, or you've fallen out with them. This is like a chance to reconcile, or maybe you offer an olive branch to someone that you've fallen out with or haven't spoken to in some time. And there's an older man here as well. It's a little grandpa charm, but it doesn't have to be an old man. It can just be an older, or actually someone who's not older than you, but just more experienced in a certain area. Sometimes it is that maturity and wisdom rather than physical age. So an older male or more experienced male in, for example, the subject that you're studying at uni, or your career. Someone might have been at that company, same company as you, for a few years more, but they're actually younger than you, but they actually know more because they've been there for longer, that sort of thing. So whenever that shows up, it just means that person's important in your month. They might be able to help you. They might be able to offer some advice, some mentorship even. They're just an important person in your month ahead. So think about who that could be. It can also be someone in spirit. So it doesn't necessarily have to be someone physically around you. It could be an ancestor or spirit guide. This could be representing an angel, for example, someone that you work with who is not necessarily physically embodied. So let's finish up with your dice now, group 3. Okay, interesting. You're getting the number 9. So we're rolling the 9th set of dice. Those ones are the astro dice, but clearly 9 is important. And November is the 9th month in the Roman calendar. That's why it's called November. But 9, it's a completion number. Rounding things up, setting accounts to rest. As I said as well, it's also Virgo. Maybe the 9th of November is going to be important, or the 19th or the 29th. Just bear it in mind. Okay, we're going to roll 4 of those dice for you. So 4 of the astro dice for group 3, please. Okay. Okay, so you've got the person who is like running from this falling debris, trying to protect themselves. So I think this is just symbolic of like when things get on top of you, when things feel overwhelming and you're not really sure how to deal with it. Things seem to be coming at you from all sides. And I think that fits in with this feeling of fragmentation and sensitivity is what I'm picking up on. A lot of people seem to be feeling more sensitive in November. So things might offend you more easily, upset you more easily, make you feel tired more easily. So you feel as though, I guess, like you have less energy to go round, less energy to give. So you're maybe feeling more protective of it than usual. You've also got the astronaut. spaceman. So travel potentially. There's that maybe travel to far off places that we mentioned. Maybe not quite space, but maybe in meditations you might be a starseed or investigating that through your spiritual practice, communicating with different star civilizations. It also makes me think of isolation as well. That, again, that sense of like wanting to be by themselves. Just wanting that peace, that space for you. And also a higher perspective. Think of how if you're an astronaut, you can see the Earth from down below. You can see it very differently. So gaining a higher perspective on a situation. You've got this little monster face here. This to me just indicates like irritations, things you've got to deal with, things that bug you or annoy you. It's nothing like major, it's nothing life-changing, it's just irritations, bumps in the road, problems that we run into that like annoy us and we'd much rather they weren't there, but they're soon dealt with, they're soon mended, sort of thing. And then finally you've got this like crater. Kind of looks like a molehill, so it always makes me think of like a situation feeling bigger than it is, basically making a mountain out of a molehill, feeling because you're more sensitive or because you're more like stressed or overwhelmed or just, you know, it's not really stressed actually, but just you feel like you have less energy to give, basically. You want to conserve your energy. So when you face a problem or when someone says that thing that, you know, wasn't well thought through, or when someone gives their advice in an unsolicited manner or gives their opinion in a way that you didn't ask for, it feels like a much bigger issue than it otherwise would do because you have less energy to deal with it, you know? So that's how I think some things are going to land with you in November. They're just going to feel bigger. But ultimately, in November, you can achieve a lot. You would benefit from being gentler with yourself. You would benefit from taking things at a slower pace, but you have a clear intention, group 3. You know what it is you want. You are being encouraged to go for it. You're being told that you have this incredible Queen of Wands energy, this brilliant ability to manifest things, but just listen to your body along the way. Don't push yourself too far. Don't pull an all-nighter, you know, to get things done. Take it more slowly at a more measured pace. Give yourself, start sooner, you know, give yourself time to work up to things. Don't push yourself too hard at the gym. Even if you're training for something, don't, you know, go too far because then you'll pay for it later. You need to have a stamina so that you're able to persevere over a longer term. Think about things with the eye to the long term is what I would say in November. I think that's probably some useful advice for you. And don't underestimate your feelings and what your body is telling you and, you know, your general energy levels. And if someone is draining you or making you feel bad, or you realize that every time you walk away from spending time with them, you're somehow more tired or in a worse mood than when you met up with them, maybe it's time to give that person a bit of a rest and, you know, spend time with the people that energize you and make you feel better and happier and more supported in your life. Okay, group 3, I really hope you enjoyed this. This was a lovely reading. Please do let me know in the comments what you thought, how this resonated with you. I'd love to hear from you. Please like, share and subscribe as well if you enjoyed this video. That massively helps out my channel and it's really, really appreciated by me. Head over to Patreon if you're interested in supporting me further, if you're interested in any future live events that I'm planning to do, and other goodies over there as well. Thank you so much, and I will see you again soon. Take care, group 3. Bye bye.